So I can't trade with, let's say, as an example, a South Africa that I know, let's say, is a proxy of America.
No.
So if I'm trying to de-link, you might be like, but you're not buying from other black people. You're like, but those black people are selling or they're serving other people's interest. I'd rather, even if it's a Russia, another interest, they're giving me better terms. Because if I go to South Africa, Botswana, etc., it might look like I'm trading with black people and Africans, but I'm not. I'm still trading with the same people.
I think for me, one other aspect which is quite interesting, because in trying to respond to what you've just said, many South Africans would say we are looking for jobs, or they are taking our jobs, or mabahambe. But what I find interesting, and then I try to figure out or attempt to understand, why is our government not vociferous on the issue of Nigerians, on the issue of Zimbabweans, and a few of our people from the continent who are here? And my logical conclusion then becomes because South African businesses are extracting profits from those countries. There is billions that have been extracted from the continent.
Correct.
Be it Nigeria, be it Zimbabwe. I mean, if you just take the SADC region, if you go to Lesotho, let's start here. A person who takes a Lesotho citizen in South Africa, who takes money home to Lesotho, that money will come back to South Africa because it's likely to go to ShopRite. It's likely to go to a South African linked bank.
Our MultiChoice, our banks. I think Standard Bank is the biggest bank on the continent. ShopRite is the biggest retailer.
Yes. So the money always comes back to South Africa, and it creates our jobs here in South Africa. No different to Zimbabwe. So, I mean, look at the trucks, thousands of trucks that leave South Africa to Zimbabwe, and even the remittance that leaves South Africa and the continent and the globe from Zimbabweans to Zimbabwe. The money comes back to South Africa because the value chain of the economy is controlled by South African businesses. No different to Botswana, no different to Nigeria. Look at Nigeria now. 100% of the aluminium can industry in Nigeria is owned by a South African company.
Hectic.
It means that of the 200 plus population of Nigeria.
Million.
Yes. Thank you. It means that they are buying or they are using South African products. The same with MultiChoice. MultiChoice has more consumers or more customers in Nigeria than in South Africa, or the SADC region combined. So when you think about that, yes, of course, you'd have to think about issues of safety. But at the same time, the very fact that these countries are not benefiting, from their own value systems. It's our companies. The same with the DRC. There are so many South African mining companies in the DRC.
Correct.
So no one, because we speak remember, the poor and the working class, they are at a micro level.
Correct.
But at a macro level, people are having different conversations because these are issues of trade.
Yes.
What happens when you kick out Nigerians? What happens from the business perspective? But at the same time, I can assure you that I have these conversations with the Nigerian mission in terms of how do they start propagating better? Because you've got thousands of Nigerians who are doing very well in this country. You've got Nigerians who are professionals, who are academics, who are business people, but their voices are not heard because in many instances, you've got this few Nigerians, who are, in terms of the brand, they are not doing justice.
They're tarnishing.
Yes, they're not doing justice to brand Nigeria. But I expect Nigerians to propagate better because it's not even only about South Africa. It's also the globe where Nigerians and primarily Igbos who would go to different countries, what they do. But of course, yes, you do have good Igbos like Chimamanda and many others. So I'm just saying that there are different dynamics when you look at this, but also there's a question of cheap labor. but not necessarily with Nigerians, because you find that Nigerians are entrepreneurs.
Yeah, no, they're not the cheap labor in the restaurants. Definitely not.
Oh, yes. But
maybe a bouncer here and there, but
yes. And we're not even talking about what do we learn from Nigerians. What do we learn about your Access Bank? What do we learn about, in Nigeria, more than 45% of women are entrepreneurs with no assistance from any government. And if you were to compare them to us, we are primarily products of affirmative action, your Black Economic Empowerment, or BBEE. So, this organic production of entrepreneurs, this millionaires. I mean, I once saw one of your shows where your speakers was talking about the hustling mentality of Nigerians. I often see Themba Kwayo in Nigeria, just praising and embracing this entrepreneurial spirit of Nigerians. Of course, at some point, Nigeria was even thriving better than South Africa. And there was a military coup, and the progress, there was regression. At some point, Nigeria was the leading country in the globe that was pushing against apartheid. Nigeria gave the ANC, the PAC, and many liberation movements millions.
No one knows that.
Oh, no one knows about that.
I've never heard it until today.
Oh, yes.
Nigeria was standing in solidarity with us and supplying us with resources during the struggle.
Especially, it started with Prime Minister Bawela. During his tenure in the 60s, he was the one who even led the exclusion of the apartheid government from the Commonwealth. And then you also had General Obasanjo. In 1978, he then decided, when he took power in the 70s, in 1978, he then phased out BP, British Petroleum, from Nigeria, because at that point, there were sanctions against the apartheid government. But then Britain decided to resurrect its trade relations with apartheid South Africa. What did Obasanjo do? He decided to close down the trade agreement between BP and the Nigerian government. Why are we not doing that?